It's an instinct sort of Friday, and we're back once again with more Smite console action. We're going to be seeing the European side of things in week 4, and we're going to bring you 2 games today.
Today's going to be, the first set is going to be Rival against exceL. These two teams are definitely polar opposites currently, with Rival at second place, 7-3. exceL have yet to find a win so far this split.
So far, and they really need to get the skates on if they want to try and make anything happen for themselves this season. Following that, though, we will also have Barrage, who are currently #1 seed, up against Excellence, who have an equal record at the moment, 5-5.
Which is going to be interesting to see the second set, because last time those two teams faced, they did find a split.
They did, but like when they faced off, was it really an easy split for them, or was it more difficult for Excellence to find that win?
Excellence have been improving more and more every single week that they've been playing. So for this second set, I expect a lot of things. The first set specifically is very hard for exceL. They have yet to find a win. They've been struggling a lot. There have been a little bit of improvements for them week after week, similar to Excellence, just not similar results.
And what's the big thing with exceL right now that they're struggling with more than anything? Is it picks and bans? Is it like game knowledge in terms of like when to go for objectives? Or is it team fights?
It's more about the objectives. Sometimes they find the picks. They just don't get the little things after the picks that other teams are doing more successfully.
Well, hopefully we can find that out in picks and bans then between Rival and exceL. Now, Rival still top of the charts at the moment, and Rival, well, they're doing okay, but they have dropped a game or 2 here and there.
Their only losses, Rival, are to Barrage, and that shows the standings. Just Barrage have been really on point. They've split against Rival in week #1. They split against Excellence, and I think it was either week 2 or 3, I forget. But Barrage definitely on top of Rival currently.
So when we go through the teams here, who's the star player we're looking at on the side of Rival and exceL here? Who do we expect to do very well today?
I expect Rapio to set the pace of the game with Atonement, trying to find the plays necessary, and I expect Gnome to make a big impact in the mid to late game as well.
And Gnome seems to be doing that quite consistently for Rival as well over the season so far. We've seen him actually do very well in the laning phase and then just transition that nicely into the teamfight stage and making those rotations that count.
Which is always important out of your solo laner. As long as you have that early game matchup advantage, finding a way to snowball off of it. He's known to play very aggressive. Actually, a lot of these console solo laners are known to play very aggressive.
Well, bans coming through now in favor of exceL. Will be the first pick, first ban this game. They've really taken a long time about this one. And what do you expect to see today? I mean, we've seen obviously the patch has already hit for a while now with these guys. Obviously the buff to Vanguard, so we've seen a little bit more in terms of Guardians in the solo lane once more. Do you expect to see anything crazy coming out here?
Consistently, a lot of teams currently in the SCL have been running the Kumbhakarna in the first pick. So that's something that more than likely exceL is going to lean on, unless they can somehow sneak in a Guan Yu.
And we see Kumbhakarna first pick here for them, and if it does go to the solo lane, what would you see? Like, what's a good matchup for Kumbhakarna as in against the Kumbhakarna if he's going to get first pick?
Anything that can cancel out the Tremors. We saw a Ymir against a Kumbhakarna yesterday, and I believe we also saw a Hades against a Kumbhakarna yesterday. So those 2 matchups definitely favor the Guardians that could cancel out the Tremors out of the Kumbhakarna. It hurts the early game at a Kumbhakarna because now he doesn't have the lane clear necessary.
Well, no real focus there as it goes on down to exceL for their first pick. Now, Scylla Susano banned by them. Across the way, Ao Kwang and Raijin, that's still big. Drumming mid laner that does great things for his team, and it's going to be the Rat, first pick for exceL.
Ratatoskr has been allowed furthermore in the SCL. We saw it yesterday for the first time, and it had a little bit of success, but not compared to the Thor on the opposite side of that matchup. So with that first pick, Rival respond instantly with a very aggressive Guan Yu Fenrir double warrior combo.
And Fenrir very, very strong at dealing with the Rat as well. Obviously, he can chase after him as well and try and find that pickup potentially when the Rat's trying to dash away.
They dashed. The Brutalized does follow dashes, so it's very wise to try to find that counter. I would have liked to see Rival maybe hold on to that Fenrir pick and maybe bait out exceL in some more dash gods, maybe a Medusa early on, and then try to counter that. But instead, exceL countering the Guan Yu with the Odin pick.
Straight away as well, before the counterban phase even comes through, they're giving away their hand a little bit more. Could be in the support role, could be solo lane as well, depending where the Guan Yu's going to go. And Rival, well, they could flex that into the support role themselves, the Guan Yu, if they so choose.
There's a lot of synergy with the Guan Yu, Talusil bunching up the wave, making it a lot easier for any hunter to really clear the wave. So wouldn't be surprised in that regard. Janus being picked up for Rival allows them to have a lot of mobility to deal with the Ratatoskr global.
And it's very difficult for the Odin to ring in a Janus as well. More often than not, you'll end up finding some sort of wall that he can get to get out of that, or even the portal the ground to give himself a little bit more time inside that ring to buy a moment's notice. Hou Yi banned out as well as Athena, so starting to focus on the support and the hunters.
Normally we see either Kumbhakarna or Ymir walls to deal with the Janus specifically. It's a lot easier to pin him before he gets to his portal. Odin ultimate, even though it's really good against the Guan Yu, it's a little bit more tricky to prevent the Janus from really using a portal on the wall, as that is a very large radius.
So surprised by the Apollo ban there. Obviously they've got to pick up a hunter here, Rival. They could have picked Apollo for themselves themselves, but they're clearly not going to go for that option. Now he's back to exceL to ban out more than likely another Hunter, I guess, as well.
The reason why Rival doesn't necessarily want the Apollo is because he's not going to be able to get away from this Odin cage unless he uses his ultimate. So more than likely going to pick something that could get out of that Odin cage. That Neith is available, who is banned. So more than likely Rival would pick up maybe an Uller or a Neith.
And that Raven ban there by exceL says to me that they think that Guan Yu is going to be in the solo lane. It's not though, as Bacchus is now locked in for Team Rival. They're holding their Hunter pick for the very final pick after abandoning the Apollo and the Ho-Yi off the table. exceL, they get to pick up their Hunter here and their support, which will be Kumbhakarna.
Very aggressive picks coming out of Rival so far. Picking up this Bacchus to synergize with the Fenrir is going to provide a lot of damage burst in the 3v3 early game team fights. Meanwhile, on the flip side, exceL picking up this Kumbhakarna and Zhong. You're trying to keep people in place of this Odin cage, and Kumbhakarna can obviously mez and root, allowing Zhong to get a lot of his damage over time successfully.
So it will be Salt in the Hunter role, then Zhong in the mid lane to combine with that Odin jungle, more than likely, sorry, Odin solo, I should say, Rat in the jungle more than likely. Rival needing their Hunter now that they know it's going to be a Sol. What would you like to see them pick here? Well, it's going to be Neith.
It's going to be the Neith, like we mentioned, something to get out of that Odin cage. You don't want to be level 5 without an escape from that, so easily going to be able to backflip. More than likely, exceL could capitalize potentially off of the Neith backflip. You force an Odin cage on the Neith, force her backflip. Ratatoskr can follow up with his ultimate, as the backflip travel time is quite a while, so you have a lot of time to aim your abilities.
Well, I will say exceL's composition here, very exciting to see this team work out, especially with all those different gods we don't see too often these days being synergized into one team, especially with an Odin, Zhong, Kumba, Rat on the same team. You wouldn't normally call that very often.
No, we haven't really seen this composition coming out of exceL first time in a while. And speaking of which, there's a lot of potions on the side of exceL. Currently 3 on the side of exceL, with only 2 on the side of Team Rival.
Surprising thing here as well, Hadder's on the Zhong, going for the Vampiric Shroud, so he wants that extra health, not the Soul Stone start here, that he's going to see his lane opponent here. Atonement has actually picked up, so he's gone for extra sustain instead of managing to get that big burst damage potential off with his auto attacks, which he uses quite a lot on Zhong.
The Zhong is going to be able to do a decent amount of damage in the mid lane, but against this Fenrir Janus, it's going to be tricky to try to come close, because the Fenrir is going to be looking for that opportunity to find the Unchained and the follow-up brutalized damage, so Zhong is going to have to counter that with an early stun at level 2.
I'm just looking at where these people are going. It looks like it is going to be Kumbhakarna in the solo lane here for Kaajee, and actually Odin will be the support this time round. So it's going to be obviously Kumbhakarna versus Guan Yu, which is a pretty good matchup for Kumbhakarna.
It makes sense. You have the Mesmerize, which will obviously cancel out the Brutalize. On top of that, you can cancel out, the Talu Assault, but it could also cancel out the Brutalize during the early 2v2. But it looks like exceL, they're leaning more towards the option of helping out the mid laner early on by doing blue to speed, getting this mid wave, and then coming back to pick up the speed.
Well, both sets of mid harpies are available here. Fudge takes a lot of free poke from those Archer minions. Got to respect those as the Unstable Vortex comes in. And there's first blood for Rapio there. Very quick, easy pick up by Rival.
So Fudge's mindset was to get the wave real quick and then go back to pick up the speed by trying to maximize that. But regardless, he was slower to get to the mid wave because he didn't have that speed buff, and that allowed Fudge to catch up and find that easy, Rapio to catch up and find that easy first blood.
And now it's a rough situation because you've got a Fenrir here that's going to have a little bit more power online earlier, left-hand side. Aggression coming out from both teams there as Rawski goes aggressive once again with the lunge. There's a curse coming out too as they're looking to try and pick up the potential on Bacchus here. Full minion wave on him. Has to flop away to safety, but still being chased down by Drizzi. Not going to find the poke onto him, but does find the stellar burst onto Headhunter.
So the beauty of Odin's support is you're leaving yourself exposed. Meanwhile, there's an action going to stun out the Brutalize as it comes back into the mid wave, going to get canceled right before committing. And with this rotation, Fudge is still really low, and now he's really behind, losing his red potion for the second death. And now Team Rival can easily snowball off of this 1-0 Fenrir and 1-0 Janus.
And you can see this in the mid lane as well, as Fudge is actually going back to base on that Zhong already. He can't go into the wave knowing that behind him is Rapio and Atonement, just waiting in the wings to try and pick up the kill. They're going to hit level 5 very quickly, and it's a level 3 mid laner and jungle on the side of exceL.
And exceL needs to worry in the dual lane position because through space of time is about to more than likely come out, trying to alleviate the pressure. This Odin and Soul have been playing very aggressive. There's the jump from Odin, and if Rival wanted to, they could have easily ulted over there.
Yeah, they could have called. I recognize it, but instead they're going in mid again. Good stun. There's the Ragnarok. Unstable Vortex just off the mark, though. But the in-hand from Atonement will be enough to secure the third kill of the game for Rival.
Beautiful patience from Rival. They faked the rotation into the dual lane, forcing exceL to back off a little bit. exceL thought that their mid was pretty safe, that they can clear the wave, but Rival with an excellent sneaky play.
Excellent secret play. Tune into the right hand side though. Kaajee here on the Kumbhakarna now level 5. Had the Vanguard start, which against, the Tallow Assault coming out from Guan, there's not a whole lot Gnome can do in this matchup apart from just hope to farm it out, really.
Especially it makes it less tempting for the Guan Yu to get the Bluestone Pendant because you're also reducing a lot of that damage over time. So Kaajee, as long as he's able to bully the Guan Yu early game, but it doesn't seem he's really using his mana to stop the Tallow Assault. He doesn't have any mana potions available, so he's going to back and try to control this matchup with a full mana pool.
And the Yawn is very expensive in the early stages at rank 1. It does cancel it out, but when you put that on cooldown, it's one of your defensive abilities before level 5 to get away. But now he's hit that level 5 mark, he's going to be finding his stride a little bit more. He did start Vanguard and Power Pot, and now works on Boots too after coming back to lane, as we tune into the duo side of things as well there. And you see a big rotation coming out from Rival here. Kaajee now turning up. Sorry, not Kaajee. Yeah, it is Kaajee turning up with Rapio.
Rapio trying to make a play happen. His Ragnarok is still on cooldown for 15 seconds, but more than likely he does have that stun effect. Maxing out his Brutalize is going to be able to do a lot of damage while he's chasing down this Ratatoskr. It seems like that's his strategy, just to be able to shut down Fudge.
Just trying to get Rawski to jump in here. Hope he jumps in so he can go aggressive. Doesn't manage to find the leap though for the stun. However, the Ragnarok chase is good, but the Odin cage will keep him pinned in. There's the stun of the Supernova being dropped down as well. Trying to give him some support, and Odin will survive that. Rapio will actually get away, but Headhunter cleans it up with the World Weaver.
Beautifully done by Rival. Even though they weren't able to find the Unchained, they still followed up with a beautiful Ragnarok. I would have liked to see the Odin use his ultimate a little bit earlier on there and then find the jump afterwards, but not going to find it. Fudge trying to make something happen into the solo lane, but being only level 5 currently gets level 7 Guan Yu, more than likely not going to happen.
They could look for the blue buff there. They saw that still on the left-hand side of the map, Fenrir was there. Fudge could look for the blue or even the speed buff if he recognized these were available for him. Instead, he pressures the right-hand side a little bit and now returns towards the mid lane. Going to pick up these mid-harpies and try and catch himself up on some farm that he's desperately down here up against Rapio.
And like we mentioned, why exceL is behind other teams currently is because they can't find these objectives. There's obviously a huge advantage for Rival in that duo lane by finding the gank, but exceL didn't respond in the solo lane. Blue buff was up and speed buff was up, and exceL tried to instead find a gank on the solo lane, which was the worst possible option.
Fudge here at the moment, just going to upgrade his Acon, as you can see on the screen. That's why he stood still for a second by the looks of it. Get his Acon a little bit more maxed out, and there it is, online with the Bumba's Mask.
Trying to do a little bit more damage and have a little bit more mobility, but it's going to be difficult with him being this far behind. He is tied level-wise with the Fenrir currently, but gold-wise, he's down about 700 gold.
And exceL right now, they can still come back into this one quite clearly. They're just going to be patient with this one. Wait for the team fights. I mean, they've got the Zhong and an Odin. Catch some of these people in the ring, and there's going to be trouble. But left-hand side, there's trouble right now. Fudge has to go in very, very quickly to try and help out his teammate Saul. Dunk down onto him. Good little damage coming out there from the flurry, and a pickup from Fudge. That's really going to help him out.
That's beautiful stun before the Unravel was able to do anything. But meanwhile, on the solo lane side of things, going to find a gank onto Kaajee, trying to proxy the wave. A little bit ill-timed as there is a response from Rapio, so going to trade 1 for 1.
He did get over there, and Atonement actually did rotate to the left-hand side and look to pressure out Fudge, but he did manage to get away back to the mid lane of safety here, and his teammate as well, who's just waiting next to him. Headhunter can go back for those back harpies now as well, so exceL do get themselves on the board, but immediately answered back by Rival.
Rival up about 2,000 gold at the 6-minute mark. Pretty very comfortable lead, I would say, this early on. Now, it's going to be dependent on exceL as to how they counter this aggression coming out of Rival. They're also up 3,000 experience with level 10 Janus versus the level 8 Zhong.
Yep. And the worst thing about Zhong as well is in the early game, it's very difficult to get any sort of damage off in these engagements. You can see that there. Player damage 389 on a Zhong at the moment. Atonement can just sit right at the back, not take any poke. Because he's Janus, he can still farm from range and stay relatively safe, so he's not taking any of those 3 card hits that you can get off with the Zhong.
However, one team fight can change all that as long as there's a few members caught inside that Odin cage with the Zhong ultimate, as Atonement just spins right round, baby, right round.
Like a record?
Like a record.
Like a record. Atonement going to go into the jungle here and just recall back to base. Left harpies are about to spawn, as are the fire imps on the right-hand side as well. And, well, he's going to see Rapio going to meet Rawski there, and Headhunter heading into the jungle. He's looking towards the speed buff potentially here, but with so much pressure there and Atonement not with him, he's going to just go over for the fire elementals instead.
And Rival just playing to their strength. They have the advantage. They're just faking the pressure and trying to delay exceL from getting their own speed buff currently, while Rival still find a little objective in in the Fire Giant Imps, and it gives them a little bit of a flexibility as to which way they really want to commit to.
You can just see exceL at the moment just having to give up a lot in lane pressure at the moment. You saw Rapio walk through their jungle. They saw him. They didn't want to fight him because he's a level 9 right now. So they just walk away from like, no, we'll just hit the exit route. Let's just continue to farm and wait for the mid-game opportunity. Maybe the Gold Fury to try and contest and find a big win with a good team fight.
There's no wards on the side of exceL to spot out Rapio flanking the dual lane underneath. A lot of damage is going to start happening as the Purification was used and the World Weavers. That's going to secure the kill very quickly.
That was a really good play from them coming out. The Disapparate obviously was being channeled, but it takes a couple of seconds for it to come online and give you that immunity. So instead, fires the World Weaver early, make sure he gets the damage off, and the Brutalize is just enough for the pickup.
You have plenty of time to utilize the full Brutalize before Disapparate happens and occurs, as well as a World Weaver, even if you channel it for just a brief second.
Still going aggressive. They're looking for the pickup on Odin. He is picked up, but in his ring, he'll get a little bit of help from that for a second, but not enough. As Zenborne will pick up the kill onto Rawski. However, Fudge comes in, looking for a return kill, not going to find it on Headhunter, and instead, Rapio picks up another kill for himself and makes it 8-1 to rival. They're looking at the Gold Fury.
Shell was used trying to counter the aggression coming out of Ratatoskr, and with those 2 picks and the red buff invade, rival are going to try to go for the Gold Fury. Meanwhile, Kaajee trying to get something in return with that solo lane tower, as there was a rotation from the Guan Yu, but the teleport is available for Guan Yu if he chooses to try to defend that tower.
Yeah, I think Gnome could get all the way back there without losing the tower. Obviously, with a Kumbhakarna, the auto attack's not that strong at the moment to be able to bring it down. The full minion wave, though, will help a little bit, but I think he'll get back there just in time, and Kaajee needs to just watch himself a little bit. He might be able to find if he's really lucky, though.
Tower does fall in the solo lane, so at least exceL gets something in return, and that something is going to be in favor of Kaajee. Now he has a little bit more control over this Guan Yu. He shouldn't necessarily leave this lane for any time soon, and the beauty about this gank is Kaajee is still fine, even if he does fall because of his passive. As long as he dies in his tower, then both of those melee characters are going to be getting hit by the tower.
Well, he's full wave clearing now, so I expect to see a little bit more of rotations coming out from him. Drizzi going aggressive on Headhunter, good Stellar Burst connecting. Supernova over the top, though, not enough on point with that painted skill shot to actually manage to find the kill.
Just was a little bit out of range. He should have committed a little bit more in tower just to be able to find the dissection, not allowing the Neith to go behind the tower, and then you would be able to use your in-hands as the Neith tries to go in the front of tower.
I agree with that. He could have taken like a tower shot or two and still been quite fine, found that kill for himself, which would have helped him out a little bit as he continues working on his build. Card comes out from hi-rez around the back, though, is Drizzi, and there is Rawski on the Odin, but the portal to the rescue, and actually that could be a lot of trouble for Bacchus. The ring should come down now. Bacchus in a lot of pressure here. World Weaver comes in, but there jumps Rapio looking for the kill. Going to find out on Rawski, and now he's going to chase down and pick up hi-rez too. Force the Purification away, and there's a nice portal from Atonement to get him out of danger. Fudge does finally pick up Zenborne, but this fight is still going, as now the rotation from Kaajee is here.
No, I'm trying to secure a kill with a root, but it's going to get backflipped by Neith. Meanwhile, Drizzi doing a little bit of what he can, but it's against a very tanky Gnome at this moment. Disapparate was used, but Rapio needs to be very careful. He is a little bit low. He's trying to find some damage, but good disengage by exceL. So overall, that was a 1-for-1 support for support, which favors exceL. If you're behind, you want to kind of trade.
Trade the supports off overall? Does that really
trade anybody off, really?
Well, now, because of this, though, they've had to fall back a little bit, exceL. Now, the rival's going to pressure this tier 1 tower in the mid lane. 3 members are here, though, with Rawski respawning and coming back to the action. They're going to try and pin them onto the tower as much as they can, but Rawski just eats so much damage from that he ends up falling down again for another death. 0-4 on the support.
The problem for exceL currently is they're using their escapes to initiate. Even though they do have the tower at their advantage, they're still under level, so they have to utilize the tower to tank instead of themselves. And rival also has the advantage with the Guan Yu sustain on top of it.
Well, what they're finding right now is extra objective across the map. Pressure tier 1 tower, get a kill. Pressure the speed buff, get a free speed. Now find a pick potentially on the mid lane. hi-rez here, just no further follow-up. The unstable vortex available for rival to secure it. But what they may get is that tier 1 tower in mid.
Tier 1 mid tower is very low, but going to have a defense from Fudge. And it was a good idea to save onto that portal instead of trying to find the kill onto the Zhong. You never know when some situations might get sticky. And that tier 1 mid tower is going to fall regardless within about 2 or 3 minutes anyway.
You know it's going to be a rough game when you can see there's only one player on your team that can have a second relic right now. exceL really starting to struggle in this game, and it all started to get away from them really right from the beginning of this one when we saw Fudge end up taking a lot of free damage from minions and being picked up for first blood.
It was just an awkward strategy that Fudge tried to implement by not picking up the speed right away. He either overestimated his potential to grab that mid wave, or he severely underestimated Rivals.
Well, I'll tell you what's underestimated right now. Kaajee didn't recognize that in the wings was Rapio again. Will Weaver coming out, will connect, slow them down, and there's the jump in from Rapio. Passive propped, and Kaajee will fall down after the yawn buys him a moment's notice.
See, we mentioned that it's less tempting to gank Kaajee because of his passive, but it's pretty easy when he's in the jungle alone, not having really any wards. Rival has been controlling both sides, solo and duo ward-wise.
Drizzi under a lot of pressure, has to disapparate away again, but a good win for Headhunter as the rest of Rival all swung to the right-hand side there to pick up that tier 1 tower after Kaajee falling. And as you said, like Kaajee, you don't really want to go on a Kumbhakarna, but when the whole team's behind, you pick on the biggest link in that team that could potentially cause an issue.
Exactly. He has the most disruption, which would allow exceL to follow up off of. So shutting him down is going to allow the rest of Rival to really get in a good spot in Snowball. They got the tier 1 mid tower earlier on, and they just finished off solo after that pick onto Kaajee. So Rival are running away with this one, currently up 5,500 at the 13-minute mark.
It's a huge amount, especially with this Gold Fury about to respawn again. Just keep an eye on that Gold Fury. The 10,000 experience is the bigger talking point right now, is Fudge getting aggressed on by Rapio in the jungle, and Rapio feeling himself a little bit, gets a pull from Atonement, doesn't recognize it, and now Rapio's going to fall down here. There's no escape for him to come out of this one. Headhunter even pops the ultimate as well. Lack of respect from Rapio, knowing where the enemy team was. He's a little bit overconfident with his score line now and how tanky he was. It didn't work out.
Just got to be a little bit more mindful about where that Janus portal is and making sure that you have that available to you, because there is still an Odin ultimate available, and if your double jumps are down as Fenrir, then you're going to be in a world of hurt. There's still a respectable amount of damage coming out of exceL with the Ratatoskr. Even though he is level 11 currently compared to 14 on the Fenrir, it's still going to be a lot of damage with those acorns stunning you out of the Brutalize as well.
And he is at the moment, that Ratatoskr you're talking about, Fudge. He's 4.4k in terms of damage right now. Only one player on his team higher is Drizzi. Is in mid lane. Has now been aggressed on by Guan. Well, Weaver's coming out, but not required as Gnome will pick up the kill and pretty much hit every shot. Fudge goes in with the ultimate though. I think he was just trying to support his teammate, but might as well just get some damage off and disengage.
Unfortunately for Hatters, he didn't have a second relic available as he just finishes off the Warlock Sash as well. If he had the Sanctuary, but he does pick up Spring, which is surprising because now it's going to be very easy for Rival to commit with the Guan Yu Cavalry Charge and the World Weaver, trying to just blow up Hatters.
We'll talk about commitment here. Rival have committed to the Gold Fury. Now Drizzi recognizes though has Supernova available, and obviously Kaajee coming over on this Kumbhakarna too. Can he get in range? Supernova drops, not enough to secure the kill. Still a burst though. It might take it away, and by the looks of that, I believe it did actually go to exceL. I can't be certain just yet though, as the flop comes out as well from Zenborne, looking for the extra pressure. It actually went to Team Rival, that Gold Fury, as Rawski, he does get away from that Brutalize, so Rapio's going to give chase with the ultimate and will pick up the kill for another kill for Rival.
So far it's a 1-for-0. Now it make that 2-for-0 trade in the favor of Rival immediately after the Gold Fury, so this could easily be a tier 1 and tier 2 if they find some more kills into the dueling.
Oh, they're happy enough to dive in here. Zenborne with the flop on Stable Vortex doesn't connect because of Disapparate. Neither does the Brutalize there, but on the back, still tanking that tower at the moment is the young man Gnome. Did good work for his team there as well, just to get himself out of that. Apologies, it was not Gnome at all. Still doing what he can though underneath the tower. Is the ultimate pop from Headhunter going to disengage Rival.
And with the sustain from Guan Yu, they can easily just group up and force exceL to try to defend this tier 1 tower. And the longer this goes, the more favorable it's going to be for Rival. They have a very tanky Guan Yu with 4 stacks of Heart of the Urchin, working on that Breastplate of Valor, as well as a Void Shield onto this Fenrir, which is going to synergize very well.
And that Fenrir is swinging around the back right now. Rapio in the backline as they collapse on Headhunter and will pick up one kill. The donkey from Rawski is going to try and slow them down, but Bacchus happy to tank this one up. Ring on point, but it's not on point enough to save Kaajee from being attacked once again, as Rapio does pick up Drizzi, as Kaajee just trying to run for his life. 5 members stronger Rival now looking for the tier 2.
The sustain from Guan Yu is just too much for exceL to handle. They lose their tower, they lose 2 members, and now they're about to lose their tier 2 once there's some more minions for Rival to start tanking it up.
Teleporting from Kaajee now, 3 minutes to defend, but that was a very good Spear Arrow coming out there from Headhunter, hitting the weave onto Rawski as well. Backflip away from Kaajee to slow him down as well. Kaajee still trying to give chase, but in combat with those minions. And now Fudge walks around the corner into the 4-man danger zone. Rapio is just going off right now, and Kaajee is going to try and get away. He gets picked up, he's in the sky, flopped on, perfectly executed at the landing there of the Ragnarok, and Kaajee falls too. This tier 2 tower can be pressured once more.
So Kaajee just got an achievement for Kumbhakarna, getting a 5-man Sleepy Yawn. Beautifully done, but going to lose his tier 2 tower in the process, unfortunately. It was a beautiful bait yet again by Rival. They baited out the Neith, and they had 4 members just go into the jungle and try to make it very tempting to go onto Headhunter, but unfortunately for exceL, Rapio comes back in, finds the easy pick onto Drizzi after the separate happens, and then finds Kaajee out of position trying to catch Headhunter.
It's 1,000 experience a minute at the moment that Rival are ahead. We're only 16 minutes in, 16,000 experience lead. That is absolutely insane that it's going at that rate since the start of this game. Gold lead is massive as well, as you just saw on your screen, around 11,000 in favor of Rival 2. And with the second Gold Fury going their way as well, it's going to be very difficult for exceL to find even a slight window to get back in this one.
They have to pull something miraculous out of their book, but I just don't see it currently. Rival have just been playing lights out currently. They have everything that they need, the levels, the vision, the gold. So exceL, they need to catch somebody severely out of position out of Rival, but the way Rival have been playing it, you're not going to find that happening anytime soon.
So Rival are hanging around the Fire Giant right about now. Do you want to see them go for this, or would you rather see them bait out a kill or two and then just push more towers?
Just keep baiting.
Fire Giant's a risk, right?
It's been working out for them. They could still, start the Fire Giant, maybe bait out some members from exceL, but there's still a lot of damage that you have to worry about. And looking at the relics, the Sanctuary just finished from Janus being refreshed, so more than likely Rival is about to force something because of that.
And Rival in very good position there. Yawn from Kaajee though, Spirit Arrow off the mark from Headhunter, trying to pin him down for a moment, as Rival still grouping up, and they're going to start this Fire Giant there. You saw the backflip come out from Headhunter with the Neith ready for detonating that weave on the ground if required to get him away. Zenborne, level 13 on that Bacchus. If you notice, the enemy team exceL, well, they're only level 14 at max rank, but Rapio going aggressive here in the jungle, trying to keep them at bay as Rawski now tries to run in there, gets a ring off, only on Atonement though, who portals away to safety, straight into an uppercut though from Kaajee. Still going to get away from the danger for the moment though, as the flop comes out as well, and the Intoxicate from Zenborne, not enough to find a kill whatsoever as Fudge dunks in. Fudge takes a lot of free poke there from the autos coming out from Zenborne, and in the end, everybody disengages, and Rawski, well, he makes it out for a second, but not long enough.
Through space and time is just too much for exceL. They finally found a pick Rival, and now they're going to try to find a second onto Kaajee as the cavalry charge does find the stun. Meanwhile, on the backhand side of things, hi-rez falls to Atonement. Kaajee trying to find the root, but Rapio finding the Unchained. So that's going to be 3-0 in the favor of Rival. With the Guan you sustain, they should easily be able to top themselves up and get this Fire Giant uncontested.
Yeah, there's no way they can get back in time to defend this exceL, I don't think, especially with Fudge using his ultimate on Ratatoskr, so can't close the gap there. Rapio takes a lot of free poke from the Fire Giant, though, in those massive portals of volcanic doom on the ground, which he should be very aware of. In the end, they do get it, so they'll limp back to base here and pick up more items to spend for themselves. Sorry, more gold to spend on items.
So before that team fight, what I liked what Rapio did was he sold his Bombus Mask and he picked up the Stone Cutting Sword, knowing that Rival was going to start up the Fire Giant objective, trying to get that huge power spike into his team's favor. And as long as you have the Guan Yu right by your side, you're going to be doing so much damage because the Guan Yu Telesol is going to shred armor, your Void Shield is going to shred armor, so the DPS on the side of Rival is just, you can't even match it if you're exceL.
Not at all. I mean, you saw the little skirmish around the Fire Giant when they tried to contest. Fudge went in below half health in a matter of seconds. There's just no way they can get involved in this. I don't even think the Phoenixes can really hold enough for them to try and force a fight here.
In this position, currently, exceL is down about 12,000 gold, and that's before this Gold Fury does fall down, and an insane amount of experience to top it off. So there's a lot of members on the side of Rival that are about to hit level 20, and the highest level is 14 out of the side of exceL.
14, and he's on 3 members of that team as well, including the solo in the mid laner as Gnome. Quite happy to tank this one up for his team. He is Guan Yu with plenty of defenses online, that Breastplate of Valor and Hide of the Urchin fully stacked. As well as Conviction, he can just continue to sustain back up if required.
It's very rare to see a fully stacked Hide of the Urchin at the 20-minute mark. Normally, 21-3, this is usually the end game, like 24 kills in a game is usually for both teams at the end of the game. But now the fact that, what is that, 7 out of 8 of those kills?
A kill a minute at the moment.
That's basically Rival just going ham.
They are going ham. They're taking a tier 2 in mid. They're going to take the final tier 2 on the right-hand side. exceL, well, clap party from Kaajee coming out on the Kumbhakarna, recognizing, good job, you've taken all my towers, and, well, now we're going to try and defend these Phoenixes. We're all low level. We've got to make a stand soon. It looks like Rival, though, they're going to back immediately right now.
Gold in hand, they all had about 1,500 or more gold in hand, so they wanted to make sure that there's no possible chance for exceL to make any sort of comeback. Looking at the items for Rival, 5 items complete on most of the gods, and there's still a lot of wiggle room. 57,000 gold total for Rival. About the 70 to 75 mark is where you start getting those full builds, so playing it rather more safe than sorry.
I think I'm looking down the charts, and you can see the player damage there on the left-hand side. It's unfortunate Rawski's not managed to get going on that Odin either. Odin early game has a lot of power spikes, so he can look for a lot of early damage. He's not been able to find it whatsoever this game.
And the issue is he also didn't find any kills or assists inside his Odin cage, which would benefit him getting more physical power for himself, and that would potentially snowball. They had the early game duo lane advantage, you know,
yeah.
Odin jumping in, the Stellar Burst, but once Rapio started making the rotation and found a return kill onto Drizzi, the game went very quickly downhill for exceL.
And because they've lost pressure as well, hi-rez hasn't really been able to do anything with that Zhong so far this game. Yeah, he's a tanky target, but you only tanky as your levels combine, and when you see how low level he is compared to the opposition of Rival here, all hitting that level 20 very, very soon. As look at the damage that Zenborne's able to do to the front line of exceL.
Double belly flop, gonna find the Intoxicate, Cavalry charge on the back. Brutalize being used into the fountain, taking a lot of damage. No care in the world for Rival as they dive that Phoenix and then some. Fudge trying to find the kill onto Rapio. Could potentially find it though.
Not gonna find it now as the flurry comes out. He's not enough to get away. His unstable vortex hit him in the back of the face. The squirrel's running for his life, and I tell you what, he can't outrun Rapio.
That, guess what killed Fudge over there?
Go on.
No.
You gonna tell me?
It was a relic.
Whoa, it was that relic.
It was
the Sunder.
The Sunder from
Ranged.
Rapio. Because Rapio got the kill, but he didn't use an ability.
Yeah.
I saw the purple glow, I was like, no way.
Rapio still feeling himself, going to go in again, get ringed in, as well as yawned on, and Rapio quite happy to be content there as his team take down this right-hand Phoenix. The final Phoenix that exceL had to defend, and Rival going to go straight back to base one last time, and maybe just look to finish this game soon.
A decent amount of gold in hand, 2.3 on the side of Janus, trying to finish off that Rod of Tahuti online, and that's going to set himself up beautifully for this next Fire Giant and final push. Honestly, Rival, if they really wanted to, with the Guan, you sustain, that's all they really need. They don't necessarily even need to wait for this Fire Giant because there's going to be a lot of fire waves that are going to be spreading out exceL. So obviously exceL can't defend all 3 lanes and then defend the one overstacked lane where Rival is going to contest.
Well, they're going to pick up the speed buff in the jungle here. And talking a bit more about exceL as well, I said I like the composition that these guys have picked up here as he's looking for the snipe, not going to find it across the map. Atonement. Cheeky, but I like the idea. He thought about the red buff maybe being taken there. But one thing I do like about exceL, their composition, the gods they picked are interesting and good, but it's very high execution this. If one of them gets behind, the whole team's really going to struggle here, I want to say, with this comp. Maybe if Odin got behind, you could get away with it, but the rest getting behind, that hurts too much.
And especially on the other side of things, you're getting a Fenrir that's ahead. Fenrir is just one of those gods where if he gets ahead, you're in a lot of trouble early game because of his damage, just his base damage and then the scaling with the item specifically. Getting some cooldown reduction as well on him with the Jotun's Wrath and getting the anti-healing with the Pestilence is making it very difficult for exceL to really handle that snowball.
I mean, do we want to see, what do we want to see from game 2 from exceL then? Do we want to see the same sort of picks, or should they be a little bit more thoughtful about what they're picking into this composition they're against?
Well, their opening strategy was very awkward for me, and they just got instantly punished for it. I just did not see the value into leaving that speed buff onto the ground and then obviously instantly falling. So just got to make sure you pick up that speed buff and get to the lane as quickly as possible, and then try to make sure your mid doesn't fall behind in response.
Well, this could be the final assault of the game as multiple members of Rival heading down this right-hand side here, tuning in with Rapio, who's going to be happy to jump in at a moment's notice if he sees an opportunity. Mainly onto Rawski and the Odin, try and force that ring out a little bit earlier. 5 minions pouring in mid, and the group up of Rival is here. No engage just yet, but there we go. Looking straight away for hi-rez is Rapio, as well as the cavalry charge coming out. A good Odin ring from Rawski is down to keep him busy, but it's not enough to stop him from staying alive. However, Rapio does manage to pick up a kill one more time here onto Kaajee, and they're just farming the kills out a little bit at the moment as the fire minions are the ones doing work to the Titan.
Titan is very low, and he finally does go down. Rival able to get the first game with a very convincing lead, 26-3.
And it's not surprising. I mean, 0-10 exceL came into this one, now 0-11. I mean, you said the biggest issue they seem to have here is finding the objectives when they've got an opportunity to do so, and then getting behind because of it.
We saw the gank in the dual lane coming out of Rapio, and exceL, they didn't capitalize on that with Fudge going for either the blue or the speed buff. Instead, tried to gank in the solo lane, which wasn't the right option.
I mean, it was right up pressure because he could have brought Kaajee with him, I guess, but didn't work out for them in game 1, 0-11. Rival, though, across the way, 8-3. Let's go into game